Hi, my name is Chukwuemeka. I'm the top martial artist on the planet. Many martial arts schools have conceded. Some of you wonder why you should support building homes for the homeless. Well, there's a lot of obvious reasons that make it crystal clear that you should. One is what led up to them being homeless, right? You have to really ask yourselves that. And we see many reasons, okay? There are cultural differences. There are genetic differences, the spectrum of intelligence. There's background stressors, peer pressure. There's the failure of society, a society that you're a part of, mind you, to win the war on drugs, okay? There are various social issues that plague society. Sometimes people unfairly lose their jobs, and they've been working there for a long time. Remember, segregation wasn't that long ago. It was only in the late 60s that Martin Luther King was assassinated. Many white people who did not get along with a racist white system were made poor over time, and many minorities never got on their feet. The government failed to win the war on drugs. They failed to restructure the education system in a way that was appealing to the average person. They failed to present healthy cultures, and we saw various destructive cultures starting to dominate the communities. You saw basically criminal cultures and corporate token minority cultures dominating the communities. San Jose is far from an exception to the rule. San Jose is basically only criminals and token minorities. And none of these cultures ever effectively take responsibility for their position. We look at the case of Nazi Germany. Would you argue that the average soldier is more guilty than people like Goebbels or Himmler or Hitler or Rome? Obviously, the generals and the designers, the architects of Nazi Germany, including the mysterious financiers of Hitler's rise to power, were far more guilty than the average soldier. And so it is in this society. The problems in society that have caused this rise in homelessness, where 600,000 plus people are said to be homeless in America, in a country with as much tax revenue as America, it's a walk in the park to build homes for these people. 30,000 each. For less than 30 billion, we could solve the problem. 30 billion, we could build 1 million, 30,000 tiny homes. If it's effectively done, especially if people volunteer their time, there's all kinds of things we could do for these people. We could redistribute food that is going to be thrown out anyway from farms because it's the wrong color or too small. But you people all sat there. And in your own Bibles it says, one who's slack in his work is brother to one who destroys. Collective guilt, collective responsibility. This is supposed to be a democracy. So why don't you get together and insist on what's perfectly right? You'll get together and complain about them building it in your neighborhoods. But how many of you recommended another location? How many of you have a plan for a war on poverty? You just sit there and accept your trickle-down blood money and refuse to take responsibility for your part in it. How come Germany had to pay reparations as a people, had to accept sanctions, had to accept regulations as a people? It was split in two, East and West Germany. The Berlin Wall didn't come down until 1989. How come they had to go through that? But you sit there as a guilty American and refuse to take responsibility for the fact that the poor never got on their feet after segregation was ended. It was only in the late 60s. Hell, my parents were alive for quite some time, okay, before Martin Luther King was assassinated. You never took responsibility for the past, and you sure as hell aren't taking responsibility for the present, and you aren't effectively planning the future. The least you people could do is pay a new tax. The least you could do is accept homeless people having homes by your housing. And on top of that, when you look at the Berreyessa incident, you act like Berreyessa is the safest city, the safest region on the planet. That's insane. There's meth addicts. There's homeless people there already. There's gang members. You know, I remember I've in that area before, and I seen someone getting jumped on the way home from school. It happened briefly, or I would have helped him out, and the Christian ran away. You act like the East Side, okay, is the safest place on the planet. You people are like spoiled brats.